Hi there, welcome to your weekly quick tips brought to you by Translating Lawyers. This week, we're going to talk about archaisms. Legal language can be quite stiff and riddled with old-fashioned syntax and antiquated vocabulary. This is because legal language typically preserves terms of art that were coined many centuries ago, and lawyers are often reluctant to move away from that language because it has the advantage of precision and clarity for those who know what exactly those terms of art actually mean. The downside, of course, is that when documents are layperson-facing, then the reader may not necessarily know those terms of art at all. And that's why so many jurisdictions today are moving toward plain language for documents aimed not at specialists or other lawyers, but at the general public. The question, though, is what are translators to do when they come across these old, archaic phrases and they're not really sure how to balance fidelity to source and other considerations that are important in legal translation? Think of a phrase like witnesseth that. While in some contexts it may mean attests or affirms that, in others it may mean nothing at all, and the literal translation can do much more harm than good. And no self-respecting translator would ever translate a phrase like, "It does not lie in the defendant's mouth to say that," when we all know that the phrase really just means that the defendant does not have the right or competence to say something. In these cases, the translator's dilemma is twofold. A literal translation may render the target text nonsensical, but as a secondary drafter, the translator is not free to change the tone or register of the text either, because that could risk oversimplification or coarsening the tone of the text. Translators are bound by two often clashing principles: fidelity to source on the one hand, which is all about precision, and transparency, which is all about naturalness and style. One way to balance the two is to extract the plain meaning of the problem text and to find the legal and linguistic equivalent in the target language. Think of a phrase like an action sounding in damages. Obviously, a literal translation of the word sounding is not going to work into any language. In Spanish, for example, una acción que suena a daños makes absolutely no sense at all. But if you extract the plain meaning of that phrase, and you know exactly what it's referring to from a legal point of view, then you know that we're talking about an action brought by an unpaid creditor for damages, rather than simply to recover the debt. In other words, again, going back to Spanish as an example, we're talking about what Spanish speakers will refer to as an indemnización de perjuicios or indemnización por daños and perjuicios. Which of the two options you choose, of course, is going to depend on the target country. But that's a topic for a whole other quick tip. And that's it for this week. Join us next week for another quick tip. And in the meantime, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. You can find us as Translating Lawyers.